Okay, so the short answer is that I'm really just as lost as you are, and the best and most lasting relationships are the ones that come up unexpectedly, but so naturally and effortlessly from the get go. And you really want to come up with your own creative solutions to your own unique situations, but allow me to elaborate for a good while. I just wanted to do a retake on this topic. I remember a few months back that I did one for the ISFJ and INFJ females, and let me be completely honest, these are two of my videos that I don't really like to come back to and watch, and the reason for that is, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I gave it my all. I didn't feel like they were genuine enough, and I just didn't like these videos. So then I thought to myself, let me just redo it. Let me give you a more honest take on it, but at the same time, addressing the challenge of how I can make it so that it seems like I'm freaking sitting next to you and we're staring at a lake or something. I also want to preface that I don't aim to convince you of anything. You can agree or disagree or imbibe or reject. It doesn't really matter. It's just opinion. It's just perspective. This is just something for you to think about. But anyway, imagine a maze. Typically, you will see one path that will be winding and non-linear, but it will lead you to a finish line. The finish line representing that one area or that one ideal or thing that you really cherish in your own mind, that goal you want to reach, that vision of a life that you really want to live in. But this path will not be apparent to you until you uncover a bunch of other winding paths that lead to a dead end. And then you subsequently backtrack to the path that you were before, knowing that you won't go down that path again. As convoluted as this might look, I still don't think this paints the most accurate picture of what's going on, because the question that arises in my own mind is, well, what created these multiple paths, and why do most of these lead to a dead end, and what if the thing that I would achieve isn't the thing that I wanted in the first place? Shout out to Marco Pierre White again. Okay, anyways, this is how I've started to see things from a relationship perspective, or rather my perspective on wanting substantive things in general. And I suppose I'll walk you through it. Typically when I pose a question or random thought in the community tab, you all will give me many different answers, very different responses from very different perspectives on life. And I've started to think that this poses a problem. I mean, not you guys. You all are pretty cool. I love you all. I'm just talking about, answers in general. It seems like many different answers given by many different people will come from very similar but limited quantities of axioms, somewhat resembling Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, so where am I leading with that? Well, one thing I've observed is that when we give an opinion to a topic as subjective as human interaction, we have no problem reaching into our internal bag of creativity, which seems to have infinite volume. It's just becoming weird to me that if we are looking for an answer to our own set of problems, we all of a sudden look outwards into other people, almost all of whom do not know what's going on in our minds. And the best that they can do is perhaps give us something. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But if you're looking for the answer to the question that's been bothering you regarding relationships, chances are that you've already had it. I mean, in fact, you've had it for a very long time. It's just that if you acted upon what really resonated with you, your social circles will look at it and say yuck and look at you as if you were from outer space. So then what are the consequences of this little dynamic that we just went over? To me, the way that things seem to be set up is this. People seem to be hardwired to a paradigm of a dangerously linear case of cause and effect. Most people are constantly in the state of, if I do this, then I am entitled to this. Now, entitled is a very, very strong word here. Maybe the term is expected to receive this. But it's just to show that, I suppose in this context, when we get too caught up in the romanticism of our relationship ideals, I mean, I'm guilty of this too. It's really surprising the degree to which we rationalize things, how much we use linearity and symmetry and logical reasoning. Not that there's anything wrong with that either. We just have a tendency to omit chaos, or rather, chaos is always in our blind spot. And ultimately, we try to maintain an ideal that's, and I hate to say it, impermanent and unsustainable. And then we see how hard we beat ourselves up if these things are not realized. And then on top of that, there are many people who can just smell this hint of vulnerability, like, I don't know, my dog to a milk bone treat from like across the house. Then they'll just give you, I don't know, half-assed articles or like 6-week programs or stupid-ass videos like mine. And then they'll infuse it with an unspoken element of anxiety that says, if you do not do XYZ, then you'll stay where you are. The implication being that where you are right now is like the worst thing that can ever happen to you. So us morons in the modern age will just be bombarded with shoulds and shouldn'ts, and then what will happen is that we'll get really pumped up, and then we'll go on this streak, and then one day we'll mess up, and then we'll take it hard on ourselves, and then that energy will compound into tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then at one point we'll go back to square one, only this time we're relatively more discouraged. Multiply that by the world's population, and then you have one of the biggest clusterfucks known today, adding onto the pile of 1,000 other clusterfucks we're probably dealing with right now. Oh, and by the way, most of what I just said is not even your fault. It's just that answers are so plentiful. They're way too abundant. It's no wonder that a lot of people are searching in what feels like, I don't know, a blistering desert and still feel so damn lost. Need I remind you that we're in an ecosystem where everybody in social media fairyland and in the family tree wants to peer into your life damn near every single day because everybody wants to look for reasons to make themselves feel better, the main one being comparison to others. You know, show and tell isn't limited to just circle time in the 2nd grade, you know what I mean? Where in reality, all this has nothing to do with what you're worth or what you are in general. Where you are right now is neither good or bad. It's just a stepping stone into where you want to be later on. Provided that you're alive tomorrow, but that's another topic for another time. It's just that this should or method to get you there happened to not work for you. And let me tell you that a lot of the shoulds typically do not work for you. They certainly haven't worked for me. It's just that there is so much of it going on that it's really all that we see. And on top of that, there's that question of whether what you want is really yours or if what you want is a mere reaction to the things that other people want for you or what they expect of you. I have to think that at one point that this spark of realization will arise and you will sit straight up and then ask yourself something like, wait a minute, this little green marble with the Indiana Jones hat is right. Why am I getting advice from a blogger who's always wearing a black turtleneck sweater and orders a light caramel cappuccino with extra foam split over 2 small frickin' cups? Or that one motivational speaker with the stupid polo? These people got divorced twice, and I'm getting advice from these generic-ass mofos? Look, I worked in the service industry before, so people can act like douchebags all the time, so forgive me. I mean, oh my god, I'm feeling frustrated for you, because I see this way too many times. I think if you really want to set yourself up for a breakthrough, it's got to have something to do with examining the quality of the questions that you ask yourself that pertains to who you are as a person. Because we sort of established that if you go out there looking for answers from other people, then you're going to go down another spiral. I do believe it has something to do with turning inwards, going through the strenuous and daunting task of self-reflection, going through your ideal again. Is this really what you want? Knowing the face of the things that stop you from realizing that. Understanding everything that comes up and where they came from. Eventually, you will stumble upon something that uniquely works for you. Another thing that I found that worked is not actively looking for that one relationship. If you figured out what you want, that's it. Stop there. Because the best and most lasting relationships I've ever had, romantic, platonic, familial, or otherwise, have been with people that just happened to show up randomly in my life, and having said relationship grow organically. You'll just know when you found it because it resonates with you so well. I mean, to me, these are the only 2 pieces of advice that remain and that I have to offer after I subtracted everything else. I mean, this is your relationship. Technically yours and whoever your partner will happen to be. Can you 2 work it out amongst yourselves and figure out what works best for you 2? 1,000%. So yeah, I mean, take it for what you will. Filter it through your own experiences or, you can throw it all away. I'm probably going to make a follow-up based on your comments. I think the only thing I can do for you here is really just give you a very light push in the most optimal direction for you. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll see you in another few days, maybe a week. And hang in there, okay? Take care.